Well, good morning and welcome to another brilliant Saturday morning. Sure you're out there taking your walk, doing your physical exercise, and trying to get strong and ready, preparing to enjoy your weekend. Welcome to another edition of Atlantic Saturday, your live program of the network, featuring conversation on special interest topics, news, events, and stories, laced with corresponding reports, expert opinions, and stakeholder analysis. Today on Atn Saturday, we'll be looking at the following headlines. Bayelsa poll Ohanaeze endorses Diri for second term. Bayelsa Guba, Silva replies Diri boasts of victory. And from Cross River Council report that Governor Otu commends Tinubu for appointing Momo in DDC. From Lagos, NAFDAC alerts Nigerians on Crusader Soup, arrest syndicate. Enugu State Governor signs electricity bill into law. Lagos State, NAFDAC alerts Nigerians on Crusader Soup and arrest syndicate. Dino says only insane we vote APC. That's explosive. DDS apps on timely intelligence sharing among services. And on security, military neutralizes 151 terrorists, arrests 456. President Tinubu restates commitment to making refineries work again. That's on governance. The three independent FGC inaugurates 15-member committee for planning. President Tinubu departs Abuja to New York Sunday. Our president is still globe-trotting. On economy, AGF pledges to publish park allocation. On international relations, Nigeria Czech Air Forces partner for strategic pilots training. Nigeria junta cancels 1,000 diplomatic passports. And EU tries TikTok. Fines TikTok, 345 million euro. On entertainment, we have Nigerians signed petition to ban Malian music. And Mohbad was my brother, dear friend, Naira Marley boast. That Mohbad's body may be assumed autopsy. There are some stories on entertainment, and last on our headline trails. My guest this morning is Barrister Precious One. Barrister, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
And I also have on the line some other guests. When they come, they will be introduced. So don't forget to come to us on our social media handles. They are there on the screen for you to handle. But let's look at some of the stories that are trending in details. IPEX Igbo Social Cultural Organization, the Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Bayelsa State Chapter, has endorsed Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri for a second term in office. The group gave the endorsement after engaging in a solidarity march to rally support for Diri and his deputy, Lawrence Ewurudapo, ahead of the November 11, 2023 governorship election in the state. The Ohanaeze leadership said, though the group is apolitical, Igbos in Bayelsa had resolved to work with the candidate of the People's Democratic Party and his running mate in the forthcoming poll, due to their track record of achievements since assumption of office almost 4 years ago. Speaking with reporters on Friday, shortly after their meeting and solidarity march, the National Financial Secretary of Ohanaeze Ndigbo Youth Wing Worldwide, Mr. Chinedu Otto Ugwa, said the unity of the Igbos in the state was paramount. He noted that though there was leadership crisis that had hitherto rocked the state chapter of the group, the National Secretariat of Ohanaeze Ndigbo had waded in and therefore accorded recognition to the Ukwem Remitus-led chapter of the Apex group in the state. Upon fulfilling the mandatory requirements for registration, the body also endorsed Barrister Agama Vitos Okonkwo as the chairman of the 2023 Igbo Day celebration in the state, urging all Igbos in Bayelsa to come out en masse to celebrate the event with pomp. In his acceptance speech, Okonkwo promised to give the group a befitting Igbo Day celebration, saying the event will be held on the 29th of September 2023 in the state. He advised Igbos to be wary of anybody or group that came under the guise of the Igbo Day celebration to collect levies or demand money from any person of Igbo extraction in this state. That's one story. And talking about endorsements, different social cultural groups are coming up to speak up to endorse the Bayelsa State gubernatorial flag bearer under the platform of PDP. And despite the apparent conflict in the group, they're coming together to say, hey, this is the man we want to be voted for. What's your take, sir?
It's a normal thing under a democratic setting for groups, individuals to hold out opinions, particularly when it comes to times of this nature that calls for the exercise of a proper democratic display through electioneering process. At this time, in Bayelsa State, the electioneering period is already near, and definitely we must expect Nigeria being a democratic country who practice democracy. We definitely have opinions, counter opinions. There are also persons who you also observe that will give counter opinions as to their endorsement. So it's a free avenue for support. It's a free environment for expression of opinions. The Igbo group have come out, although as a body in Bayelsa State, it's right that it's not all the Igbos that will vote.
Yeah.
Definitely, that we know. However, it's a good thing that tribes, ethnic nationalities form alliance and come together to speak in one voice to an extent. If they feel that Doyodiri has performed to their own estimation, I think it's an avenue that is a very good reason for a re-election.
Yeah.
It's a very good reason.
Now you see that what happens in most times when you have polls, even in River State, the Igbos are very, very vociferous when it comes to, and they are very visible, they are ubiquitous all over the country, wherever they go, and they try to identify the governance process. And sometimes their impact, because of their population, affects the outcome. In River State, it happened. In Lagos, it's an issue. And sometimes it becomes explosive. Do you see this kind of support as a viable option and a viable support for
like I have said, when it comes to issues of electioneering, a group as a body may make a pronouncement, or people on individual basis are convinced by their individual
conviction, yes. But apart from individual convictions, group support, based on ethnic and social affiliations, have a great role to play in the outcome of elections.
Yes.
That is, bearing the fact that sometimes election may be rigged. Their voice sometimes, even if they are not going to vote, gives some kind of endorsement and impacts on the impression of voters. Also, this man has this kind of large support, so let's give him a support. I think that appears to be the opinion.
Yes, that is, you are very correct in that aspect. Because issues of electioneering is an issue of persuasion.
Yeah.
You cannot rule out. If you have a very good platform where you persuade people to, swing their mind towards achieving an end, that is voting for a particular person for a particular reason, and this reason is that because he has performed.
Yeah.
That is also, it's correct. But however, there are those who may not be swayed by a larger opinion of people. Yeah. We cannot rule out that fact.
Yeah.
Yes, we cannot rule out that fact.
Okay, there are those who may not be swayed by what others say. Yes. Now, see from Bayelsa State, there's this story. Candidate of All Progressive Congress Chief Timothy Silva has told the state governor, Duyediri, to prepare to vacate the Creek Haven government house as his defeat is imminent, describing him as incompetent and woeful failure. Silva, who reacted to Diri's comment that he and the APC were not sellable in Bayelsa State, the governor was only having his last kick because he knew his defeat was imminent. The former petroleum minister, in a statement signed by his special advisor, media and publicity, Julius Bokoru, said Diri had nothing to campaign with as he had wasted his 4 years as unmerited victory in the state and was waiting to be kicked out by the people of November 11. The Bayelsans are determined, in the face of bribery, intimidation, threats of violence, and blackmails, to restore sanity in Greek Haven by replacing the ongoing crutch at Greek Haven with Silva and APC, who have a clear, simple journey to better Bayelsa. Well, we have this horse trading, you know. Sometimes they amount to tantrums and vituperations, you know, attacks and all that. Well, I thought that ordinarily, in an electionary process like this, people should be talking about ideas, not persons and all that, and then use some languages with candor. But we seem to be seeing that kind of heated utterances there, still on Bayelsa State.
Well, those are...
So what was your general opinion about the Bayelsa pool generally? Because the Bayelsa pool usually has a lot of conflict reading, especially in the Nembe area where Silva comes from. With this kind of position, horse trading and attack and counter-attack, do you foresee a peaceful pool in Bayelsa State?
Well,
come November?
Well, it has been a routine, not only in Bayelsa State.
We're talking about Bayelsa State has a particular narrative.
Yes, that's
a particular narrative in Bayelsa,
yes,
coming from the eastern part of Bayelsa, which has to do with Nembe and what have you.
Yes.
Where Diri comes from.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, Silva comes from.
Yeah, there have been a history of violence during election periods in Bayelsa State. And haven't found the situation that emanates from electioneering activities in Bayelsa State. I think the parties or the people in question who are the contestants from various political parties should also help to ensuring that their utterances does not trigger violence amongst the voters, amongst their supporters, because whatever they say has a way of sending signal to their supporters and those who misunderstand information. You know, there are those who understand perfectly what you relate to them, but there are those who process it in different ways, and before you know it, it culminates into violence and destruction of lives and properties. So it will be advisable that in as much as you have the plenitude, the platform to selling out yourself and your party during this electioneering period to gaining supporters, you should also ensure that you bridle or shifter whatever you say and whatever you dish out to the public for information purposes, so as for the purposes of curtailing violence. However, I must state, like I opined earlier, that people have various opinions, just like the candidate of the APC, Timothy Silva, has stated, unlike the information dished out by the Igbo group, stating that he has done nothing, you know. So those are the things...
Would it be correct to say somebody has done nothing in the state?
That is what you...
Why not canvass?
Why
not say what you want to do, and rather than dismiss using such terms as describing the Bayelsa State government as of today as a crutch?
Yes.
I know what a crutch means.
Yes. So those are the things. Yeah. And the languages are very important for the purposes of ensuring that there should be violent-free elections.
There should be some level of sanity.
Exactly. In as much as you have the avenue to speak or to talk whatever, but you should understand there should be a limit to whatever you say.
And that is the only way we can avoid violence.
Exactly.
Because when you bring this do or die disposition and you talk with disrespect to your opponent, some kind of mutual disrespect, you may begin to whip up sentiment, especially sectional sentiment, as in the case of Nembe, Basambri, you know the number of violence in Bayelsa. I just hope that come November, we are not going to have the conflagration that usually engulfs that area during the election. Your last take on that so that we can go to the next. Well, Governor of Cross River State, that's the next story. Basio too has expressed gratitude to President Bola Tinubu for appointing an engineer as the Minister of Niger Delta Development, Engineer Abubakar Momo. Added that bringing back the ministry was the best thing for the people of the region. The governor, represented by his deputy Peter Ode, during a courtesy visit by the minister to the government house, stated when the list of ministers was released without the Ministry of Niger Delta, he felt forgotten until the second list was unveiled with his names. Earlier, the minister stated that the ministry was aimed to inspect some of the projects, adding that it's essential for it to conduct an inspection before proceeding to execute government's policies in the state. Mr. Further stated that this administration embodies a renewed hope agenda, noting that the president's alternative to the situation on ground, particularly the state of rules in the country. Well, Governor is commending the president for appointing. At the announcement of the ministerial list, and you didn't see the Niger Delta ministry, how did he feel?
Yeah, I felt really bad, honestly, because irrespective of the fact that we actually have not felt the real impact of this ministry, Niger Delta, because ultimately the essence of it is for the development of the Niger Delta states.
Yeah.
And the question is, how far has this development come? How have we been able to meet up with expectation of development? That is the topic of another day. But however, it is good that this ministry continues to exist, because when it comes to issues of development, talk about the issue of leadership. And the leadership, we talk about the issue of expertise. Now, the governor is happy about the appointment of an engineer, that ministry who has a technical know-how to ensuring that the development comes in Niger Delta states. It's a good development. It's good that people who have the expertise should be allowed to man some positions of authority, ministries, particularly those technical areas, ensuring that they bring in their wealth of experience and expertise towards engendering effective development.
Yes, a lot of people have talked about having the Ministry of Niger Delta and then having NDDC, some kind of duplication. Do you foresee any kind of conflict?
There is none.
No conflict?
No, there's none. Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, NDDC is a body under the ministry that is responsible for. It's like a ministry where you, NDDC is like a vehicle through which the development is being brought upon. Then the ministry...
It's an intervention agency.
It's an intervention agency.
NDDC is an intervention agency.
Yes.
And now, with the enormous task it has to intervene on the development agenda of the Niger Delta region, and with their master plan to develop various nooks and crannies of Niger Delta, and take it away from where governments of the various states of the region cannot really make strong impact. Now you have the Niger Delta Ministry. Ordinarily, what could be their role? Some people see it as a distraction. Some people see it as a support base. in terms of executive representation of, because Niger Delta people don't go to the executive
Yes.
meetings and all that. So in that, they complement themselves. That's the position you're taking. Yeah. Now let's look at the next story. And that's the last for this segment, this half hour, so that we'll go for a water break. The Supreme Court has declined to notify the election victory of Governor Peter Mbah in Enugu State. The apex court, in a unanimous decision by a 5-member panel of justices, dismissed as incompetent an appeal that All Progressive Congress and his candidate in the state, Uche Nnaji, filed to challenge the return of Mbah of People's Democratic Party as winner of the gubernatorial contest. In his lead judgment that was prepared by Justice Tijani Bubakar, the Supreme Court held that Nnaji and his party filed an invalid brief argument, held that the appellants failed to adduce any cogent reason why the invalid process they filed should be relied upon to invalidate Governor Mbah's elections victory. According to the apex court, the appellant's brief of argument was legally defective, ultimately affected the substantive appeal. Consequently, it dismissed the case of the appellants for being incompetent. You recall that the Court of Appeal in Enugu had on July 18 also dismissed Nnaji's case against Mbah. Now let's throw in some words here and then go on water break and come back and continue. Yeah.
Okay, the issue of dismissal of the APC's appeal against the election of Mbah as the governor of Enugu State based on technicalities, and that technicality is on the basis of the invalidity of brief of argument. Brief of argument is a way of communicating to the court, telling the court why the notice and grounds of appeal, which must draw from the notice and grounds of appeal, should be upheld. You know, so if there are instances where brief of arguments may be invalid, one, it's out of time. There are laid down rules and procedures. You may have a very good case, a very good cause, you know, to present before the court, but the way and manner you present it, there are laid down rules upon which you present your matters before the court. So failure to observe the principles, the rules for bringing these matters before the court makes the process invalid. You know, take for instance the issues of election petitions, for instance. Election petitions which are sui generis of their own special kind are mostly time-bound, of which the court has not less than 180 days to ensuring that from the day of filing of that suit, ensure that you complete judgment. Failure, and the Supreme Court has heard that failure to do so within the precise time makes that procedure a nullity. And the Supreme Court has said that the election petitions, the time as specified in the Electoral Act, it's like the rock of Gibraltar on Mount Zion that cannot be changed. So failure to comply within the time nullifies that suit. So that is what played out here. You may have a very good cause, perfectly, but how do you present? In what procedure did you bring about this matter before the court? There are a lot of celebrated cases heard by the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court has severally heard about the issue of jurisdiction. Because the issue of jurisdiction, one, it must bring the matter within the proper procedure as enshrined under the law. Two, it must ensure that the judges or justices who are to man the position to hear those matters are qualified in terms of their, you know, in fact, the issue of Adeleke in the last Supreme Court judgment was dismissed based on, the appeal was dismissed based on the fact that one of the justices on the 6th day of February 2019 failed to sit on a particular day. Failed to sit on a particular day. And then during the judgment period, he was the one on appeal, was the one who read out the judgment, and even the evidence given on that particular day was even analyzed by him You know, that is one of the reasons for invalidating or dismissing it.
Now, what's your take on the issue of technicalities, on some of these judgments? A lot of people see these technicalities are not being very fair, not complying with natural justice, and some people see an equity and good conscience. Some people merely see it as judgment and not justice.
Well, we have various areas of justice. We have justice according to law, have justice according to equity, which substantial justice comes within or under the realm of equity. You know, equitable justice is that definitely equity follows the law. The essence of the law in the society is to regulate the conduct of humans.
Okay.
Yes. And first, you must look at the law and follow what the law dictates. Before, then where the hands of the law cannot get to do justice according to law, then that is where equity will come in to do substantial justice.
Exactly. Thank you very much. I think we'll go for a brief short break now, and I call it a water break. In the next 1 minute, we'll be back. Don't go away. It is still Atlantic Television Saturday. You're welcome back. It is still Atlantic Television Saturday here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. Your everyday Saturday show. It lasts for 3 hours. We're back from the first half hour of the program in the first segment. And yes, one of the lawyer is still here in the studio to look at some of the issues. My name remains Bon Woki. I'm sure you know that. Our National Drug Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control says it has arrested syndicates who specializes in importing banned Crusader soap containing mercury in the country. Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, Director General, NAFDAC, who disclosed this to newsmen in Lagos, said that the syndicate used forged customs documents to import the product into the country. According to Adeyeye, the importation of the soap into the country was banned by NAFDAC years ago because it contains mercury. He explained that the successful busting of the warehouse came after 3 failed attempts, as the cartel used their informants continuously to relocate their consignment of soaps to different locations to prevent the discovery. According to her, one chief, Peter Obi, the prime suspect, during interrogation, claimed to have bought the franchise of the product from a company and presented as expired NAFDAC certificate, and was issued by. After that certificate was issued for local manufacture of the product after the ban in Nigeria. And then you noted that 1 bar of the soap had been manufactured in Nigeria since the purported that not 1 bar of the soap had been manufactured in Nigeria since the purported registration in 2013. Then arrested suspects will be charged to court, while a manhunt is currently being intensified to arrest other fleeing members of this syndicate. The Director General, however, advised Nigerians not to patronize imported soap and detergents, including mercury containing cosmetics, and to report all infractions to the nearest NAFDAC office. Well, this is a new man at the helm of Health Affairs, a woman, of course. We're talking about Professor Adeyeye. Since she came back, since she came on stream, she has been going deeper and deeper into ensuring that drug administration governance in Nigeria is still what it was during the former Dora Akuyili's tenure. And here, Crusader has been banned. And growing up, I've always heard that Crusader soup was very hot. Now, the entire drug administration and food management process in Nigeria by this agency, because we're talking about stronger institutions. Do you think NAFDAC is still as strong as it used to be?
Yeah, NAFDAC is, there is always, like I've always said, there is always room for improvement in every institution, because there is no perfection anywhere. There's, in as much as you devote yourself towards constant improvement. So the fact that there was ban in the first place, the fact that there was dictation of what the Crusader is contained, and then the dictation of the fact that there was there is still current importation of that Crusader, means they are doing their job excellently. But however, like I said, there is room for further improvement. I must state that the Crusader haven't been banned from the Nigerian economy due to dictation of content which is not good for human body. That is the mercury. It's a good and welcome development.
Yeah.
NAFDAC being a watchdog of this sort, particularly in terms of food and the products we use, is the helms of affairs to ensuring that there should be security in that area, which they have dictated. And I must also state, with respect to the economic activities of Nigeria, it also goes along to ensuring that there is an encouragement in local production, local content. And, there is also an instruction that there should be no importation, no further importation of soap, particularly those which are mercury laden.
Yes.
And now this will also help the locals to also look inwards and manufacture within their own context.
I think that
encouraging local manufacturing, thereby helping the economy for the purposes of local consumption and exportation.
I think there's an underlying issue here. Underlying issue has to do with the fact that for a very long time, Nigeria has been a dumping ground for all manner of products, fake and adulterated products, banned products that are not healthy. And some of these products, the soap is carcinogenic. Dermatologists will tell you that it has some negative impacts on the skin. And the experts, the institution that is responsible for regulation, I said, don't bring in. This affects virtually every product in Nigeria. Standard Organization of Nigeria have their complaints about, standard product, substandard products being brought into the country, electric cables, rods that are causing collapse of buildings and all that. And the consumer rights agencies, institutions have been talking about. You're a lawyer, of course, you know how strong vociferous and strong consumer rights advocates have been talking about some of these products that poison Nigerians, some of these products that are destroying Nigerians, creating a lot of infrastructural decay and problems. Over time, Nigeria has become a dumping ground, and we need stronger institutions to check some of this. What's your final take on that?
That is correct. We actually need a stronger institution to actually serve as a watchdog towards ensuring that the kind of product that comes into the country, you cannot rule out the fact that definitely there are some products that are imported. You cannot rule out totally importation, but in as much as local production is encouraged, the institution must intensify their effort to ensuring that there is security in that area. They actually ensuring that they up their games to dictating the inflows of these products which are of substandard for the utility of Nigerians which are particularly harmful.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a way of ensuring that you know, Nigeria is not a dumping ground, like borrowing from your language. You know, it's not a dumping ground for all these substandard products which will cause health, devastating health challenges to the inhabitants of Nigeria. And to also, like I said earlier, to also encouraging local manufacturing. And why encouraging local manufacturing? To ensuring that the standard is maintained, so that you, not just for the local consumption, but also for the suitable for purposes of exportation. It's encouraged also.
Yes, well, NAFDAC is doing a lot to protect and defend the health of Nigerians, because some of these poisons that are brought into the country are dangerous to our health. Nigerians die gradually, having kidney diseases, skin cancer, and what have you. A lot is being done by corrupt Nigerians to encourage the importation of some of these substandard products. And all hands must be on deck. There should be an interagency synergy, as it were, between NAFDAC, the Immigration, Customs, Standard Organization of Nigeria. An interagency synergy will save Nigeria from some of these poisonous substances that they call imports into the country. And we think that NAFDAC should up the ante. Well, let's take the next story. And talking about the governorship candidates of the Democratic Party for the November election in Kogi State. You know, off-season elections are coming. So a lot of people are involved. Kogi State is also involved. Dino Milaye says only the insane will vote for All Progressive Congress in the election as a result of the level of poverty, hunger, and deprivation inflicted on the people of the state by the outgoing administration of Yahaya Bello. Milaye said this while receiving the report of the PDP policy document for the state at a brief ceremony at the PDP National Secretariat, Wadata Plaza, Abuja, on Friday. The PDP hinged his confidence, the PDP candidate hinged his confidence on the conviction that the people of the state have suffered unjustly on account of the outgoing maladministration, unquote, of the Bello-led APC administration. According to him, the PDP policy document was a product of a scientific research of the sections of the state economy requiring urgent attention in order to receive the economy, revive the economy, and set the state on the path of growth. On his plans to ameliorate the sufferings of the people of the state, especially civil servants, the PDP candidate said the civil service in Kogi State will be reformed and will pay salaries 25th of every month, and it will be full salary. Earlier in his remarks, Chairman of the Policy Document Committee, Professor Sam Amadi, said the policy is over 100 pages based on hard work by members who are from different fields. Wow, we're talking about gubernatorial elections in different parts of the country. You have Kogi, Bayelsa, you have Imo State.
Yes, Imo State.
And one other state. And these are off-season elections. And off-season elections are usually expected to be very, very good and well organized, because all the arsenal of INEC will be brought to bear and to ensure a proper control and proper election management in some of these states, because it's usually narrowed to smaller units rather than a broad national outlook.
Yes. Yeah. In that state, I think it's expected that since they have a smaller geographical location to all these elections, there should be no excuse as to not getting it right. You know, what we desire is free and fair election, and which reflects the will of the people. The people are the ones who knows who is who in their state. You know, who have the capacity to bring about these dividends of democracy and redevelopment, and not those who come and theorize. Mm-hmm. Yes, because those are the things you must expect. An opposition, there is nowhere you expect an opposition of the PDP to tell the APC's administration that you have done well, because he is selling his own, he has a product to sell. That is himself. You know, so the issue there is, if the people are convinced, because election is dependent on the people. who have felt the impact of the development brought about by the now administration or the outgoing administration, and then would definitely look at the contestants from various parties. Like it has been said that political parties is just a vehicle through which leaders emerge. Now, what happens after the leaders emerge is leadership. And now, the development is not dependent on the party. It's dependent on the view of the individual as to how strategic he is and what plans he has to bring about redevelopment to the people.
Yeah. So, but what we're getting here is a situation where the party claims to be doing some research on the way forward. That is a party that seems to be preparing for governance. Because we've always accused political parties of not having manifesto, political parties of being bogged by internal democracy that is flawed, and therefore, when they gain power, they come struggling without being prepared. Now, you see what that committee is doing as a new way forward in political party governance in Nigeria.
Well, to me, I would say it's an avenue to showcase. Like I say, when it comes to issues of politicking or politics, theories, people may bring up any theory, but implementation is another thing.
That's the point.
Now, another thing is...
It doesn't remove the idea of preparation. You must prepare to govern. And you must show the people that you are ready to govern.
Exactly.
Because we are in a knowledge economy.
Exactly.
And ideas rule the world. If you don't prepare, and if you don't tell the people what you want to do when you come to power, bearing the fact that we begin to hear some kind of language that is not good, insane and all that.
Yes.
Dino, of course, has to be Dino. He's flamboyant, he's loquacious, sometimes he could be garrulous, as we are seeing here. And so it is something that we really need to check in Nigeria, where people come on stage, political leaders, rather than being polite and being cautious to their political opponents and then presenting ideas. He has presented very sound ideas, according to him, that is based on research. And these ideas will lead them to govern the country well. So why use foul language? I think we should check some of these words.
Yeah, you're correct. Very, very well. Like, it's just sequel to what we said earlier. Language is being used by other states.
All over the country, it has become a common...
It has become a norm.
Norm, yeah.
Which is very, very bad. In as much as you find yourself in democratic settings where you have the freedom to air your opinion, you should try as much as possible to do what you is to the public. And also, I must state, any person who is an indigene of a state should know where it pinches.
Yeah.
Any person who is preparing to contest for a position should know why he or she is coming out to contest, why he wants to man that position, what problems he has foreseen to cure or to solve for the people before even vying. You understand what I'm saying? So if you also look at it in this direction, why the research now? Does it mean you do not have the idea as to what you wanted to do before coming to contest in the position as a governor?
But the ideas have to be articulated.
Why articulated?
They have articulated.
It means you should have.
No, it's not. One thing is that
it's just like just like someone in the traditional wrestling, for instance, or football.
Yes.
A spectator watches a footballer play and see how he plays. If I were there, I would have done it this way. It means preemptively you have known what to do. Knowing the flaws of the person who is already manning the position. You don't need the research anymore.
No, I think that what we are seeing here, I'm putting it to you right now.
Yes.
What we are seeing here is a new development. Of course, even in Rivers State, the new Rivers vision was drawn up by a group of experts in Rivers State. I was privy to knowing those who were involved in that blueprint. And that became the bedrock of Governor Wike's administration. You must have a plan, because he who doesn't plan plans to fail. And your plan must be sustainable, must be achievable, and all that. So it was that New Rivers vision that gave Governor Wike the vision to drive the state. And he almost followed it religiously. It was that same New Rivers vision that gave him the idea, for example, of having capital expenditure higher than recurrent expenditure in order to carry out infrastructure.
It's up to 70%.
Exactly. Now, urban renewal was part of that New Rivers vision. So there must be something on ground which is a product of research and planning, which you are bringing to the table. It is the business. You see, so what happened? You are a lawyer. Yeah. When you come to govern, you are not the one in charge. That mandate doesn't belong to you. The mandate, first of all, was given to you by the political party. So that mandate belongs to APC or PDP. So the APC or PDP must give you the instrument to work. The instrument to work is that research material, which is the manifesto they are canvassing to the people. And that's a development. I think we need more research-oriented political parties that must be fully prepared to come. But I like your point of departure. Your point of departure is that it shouldn't end on just putting something on paper. The person who is coming must be ready to govern.
Exactly.
And must see those things on paper as the beginning and not an end in itself. As a means and not an end. I think that's the take you have. Can you round off on that?
Yes. Like I said, I'm not against any research.
Yes.
I am not against any person bringing up theories and better ways.
You call it theory?
Yes, better ways of governance. But
yes.
what I'm saying is, before the theory, what was your conviction?
Were you prepared to be in government?
What was your preparedness? Mm-hmm. What did you see that you can do different from what the current administration is doing? First, before you lean on research.
Any document.
Yeah, any document is just an avenue, just like putting up what to do and what not to do, marshalling out a blueprint as to what you feel, a guideline as to how to go about what already you have.
Your roadmap.
Your roadmap, which you already have conviction of.
Exactly.
So, but first, you must have that conviction as to what, you must have idea as to what to do before requesting. Then whatever research that is coming up should be a guideline as to how to carry out the what conviction you already have in you to bring about the meaningful development for the people. Well, also to Devin, I must state that the era of political parties being contesting election has gone. That was in the case of Amechi versus INEC, when the Supreme Court stated that it is a political party that contests election and not individual. That era, the law has changed. The law now is that for you to be declared a winner, you must have passed through different stages of election, and the law looks at an individual. Right now, that is the current position of the law.
An individual is a product of the political party.
Yes, he must be sponsored by a political party, but the law does not look at the political now as being the contestant of the election, but that individual. That is why it has been heard that the political party is a vehicle. Definitely, the Constitution says that for you to emerge, there's no room for independent candidates in Nigeria. So a political party must sponsor you, and for you to be sponsored, first, an individual must have the capacity to bring about meaningful development. In as much as you are coming under the platform, look, for instance, what happened in Rivers State. Rivers State, at the end of the day, veered, towards another direction, believing in the capacity of Mr. President to bring about meaningful development. Someone who is not a member of it. But it is the idea, because they are convinced that this man in question has a capacity, by their conviction, to bring about meaningful development. That is why they pitch the tent.
So, sometimes it's about interest.
It's also about interest.
It's about interest.
But we must not rule out the fact that, first, political party, yes, it's a vehicle, it's an avenue to contesting or getting to a particular position, but individual matters. What is the capacity of that individual to bring about the meaningful development? And that is why electionary processes in Nigeria this time around is evolving. To me, I feel that democracy is being strengthened in Nigeria. Because what people are talking about now, if you look at the election, the campaign in an electionary period, what they're talking about is, this is what I have done. And because I have done this, I'm entitled to be voted for. That, like what happened in Rivers State. So the narratives have been changing from the carry-go, the former carry-go narrative, you know. So it is evolving. So it is the individual, particularly, who has the capacity to evolve things, who has the technical know-how to bring about meaningful development. That is what we should be looking at, and not the party.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, they're all entire. There's a dialectical relationship between the two. That's why the governors, those who represent the party, who contest election, are called flag bearers.
Flag bearers, yes. Because there must be a political right to sponsor them.
Exactly. You work under the auspices of a political party, and the party has something to sell. Because if you fail, the party has failed. Because most times they talk about the party, governing. For example, PDP was bragging that it was going to govern forever. So it's a party. And so when the individual fails, the party fails. And when the party fails, the individual fails. Yes. So there's because the party is the superstructure.
Yes, and the possibility of the party succeeding in an election is dependent on the capacity.
The capacity of the candidate. Because a bad candidate cannot be sold.
At all.
You can't market a bad candidate.
And the sellability is the ability to bring about meaningful development, which is what the people need.
Exactly. Yes. And you must be one who is organized and well cultivated.
Exactly.
To, kind of bring to bear democratic deliverables. If you can't do that, then you are simply foaming in the mouth, and you just a mere empty gong. Yeah, that's what it is. So I think that that's as much we can take for this hour. We'll go on a short break, very short break, and when we come back, we'll take the second hour of the program. Don't go away. We still have interesting stories on the program, Atlantic Television Network. It's a 3-hour buster. Don't go away.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Welcome back. It is still Atlantic Television Saturday, your Saturday tonic. And I still have the great man here in the studio. I'm talking about Barrister Wanode. Yes, Wanode. He's still here. He's very vibrant. He's a young man, so he's capable of continuing on his strides. You're welcome once again to this segment.
Thank you, sir.
We'll be talking for another 1 hour, possibly for another 1 hour.
Yes.
I'm sure you have the energy to carry through. Now, Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa has urged service chiefs and commanders of military operations to promote intelligence sharing and collaboration within their and across joint task forces. Musa made a call at the opening of the Joint Task Force Commanders Conference organized by the Defense Headquarters on Friday in Abuja. He said the conference with the theme, Rejigging Defense Headquarters led operations, underscored the vital importance of collaboration and synergy among the various branches of the nation's armed forces. The CDS said it had become imperative for the military to adapt its strategies and tactics to effectively counter emerging threats at a time where the security landscape was constantly evolving. According to him, by fostering a spirit of synergy, we can capitalize on our collective strengths and capabilities to safeguard our nation. He also urged the commanders to equip their troops with necessary skills, knowledge, and resources to carry out their duties effectively. According to him, continuous professional development, realistic and rigorous training exercises, and the cultivation of a learning culture are essential ingredients for the success in this ever-evolving security landscape. Well, they're talking about rejigging the defense structure, rejigging the process. You can see what they're saying there. They have untimely intelligence. When the new chiefs, the military chiefs came, the emphasis was for them to follow more of intelligence beyond kinetic approach, because kinetic approach has not really helped. We are talking about banditry, you're talking about clandestine activities like terrorism and all that. They are not seriously pitch battles and all that. So you need a lot of intelligence to arrest and rescue, held up areas, that kind of thing. So I think that this intervention is a call in the right direction. What do you think?
Yeah, correct. That is correct. There is need because intelligence is one aspect that military or any law enforcement agency not do away with. And it shouldn't only rest on synergy amongst the military, but it should also be a synergy amongst the law enforcement agents, not particularly the military, and the inhabitants of various local communities. Because one, when you talk about intelligence gathering, it's only those who live within the neighborhood, only those who live in the locality, knows those who are capable, knows those who are, these are sons and daughters of persons in the society. So, and they have villages. So by the time you synergize, in as much as you don't dish out your strategies, your military strategies to the public, so ensuring that people do not know what happened intending to deploy, to curbing the mess of insecurity. You also try as much as possible to synergize with the members of the locality, the communities, the community leaders. The community leaders would also help to ensuring that, vital information is being released out to the military personnel, law enforcement agents, because these are the people who knows the rule and cranny of the whatever route these people follows to commit this crime. They also know their homes, their parents, and wherever places they live. So the locality, the people of the locality have a vital role to play in terms of intelligence. And also, it is also good, thank God we have a local vigilantes We have the OSPAC and other climbs.
There they have what they call... No, in the north, for example, they have... in the northeast, they have the local vigilante.
The local vigilante. So that is why there has been clamor. These local vigilantes being formed recently, it's helping so much. Like the Amotekun of Lagos State, there have been positive reports.
Northwest, Southwest.
Southwest.
Generally.
Or particularly in Lagos, there have been positive reports as to the functionality of these local vigilantes. It's very, very important because in Northern military personnel is a cumulative of a lot of persons from various parts of the country. You cannot expect a Northerner, for instance, to come and know the various routes in rivers communities. So it is always in synergy with the local vigilantes and the leadership of these communities that we enable them to identify, know these people, and know the route through which these crimes are being perpetrated. Considering the fact, particularly considering the fact of the nature of these banditry, how they operate, their operations, which comes in form of guerrilla warfare, hit and run approach. So it's very important to root out, to go to the route, getting information from the route, and knowing more better approach to fighting this mess. It's a good one.
Well, I think that we need some proper synergy and all the agencies, and then improving technology, because military warfare is a technology-driven warfare.
Exactly.
And it goes beyond the kinetic process. What happened in Niger State is a very unfortunate situation where more than tens of soldiers were killed. Some say 26, some say 36. And it was a very unfortunate situation. And what is going on in the system now is such that we need proper reform, because terrorism is a global phenomenon. And in Nigeria, it goes beyond Boko Haram. It goes beyond banditry. You have Al-Qaeda, ISWA, and what have you. So there should be increased intelligence. And intelligence is something that is done through technology. Well, let's look at the next story. It's still on defense. Defense headquarters said the large-scale surrender of members of terrorist groups and the submission of a large-scale arms and ammunition indicate that Nigerian military will end terrorism and insurgency in the shortest period of time. Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, made these statements while briefing journalists on the ongoing military operations across the country. Held at the Defense Headquarters Abuja, he stated that during the course of operations in the last 1 week, the troops neutralized 151 terrorists, arrested 456 terrorists, and also 45 perpetrators of oil theft, rescued 76 kidnapped hostages, and denied oil theft of the sum of 1 billion, 11,885,250 naira only. Others stated that troops recovered 216 assorted weapons and 443 assorted ammunition, and that the troops in the Niger Delta are discovered and destroyed 21 dugout pits, 56 boats, 138 storage tanks, 235 cooking ovens, 6 pumping machines, 89 illegal refining sites, and the sum of 13,950 naira. The director, however, mentioned that the operational feat underscores the importance of ongoing military operations, which is critical to the nation's effort to achieve peace and security, noting that the military up to the challenge and more than ever before, and the operation outcome is proof. Here's our correspondent report on this. Let's get it track on.
Activities in Operation Hardin K in the Northeast have effectively curtailed terrorist activities in the region. This is indicative by the huge surrender that have been recorded and is still ongoing, and also the submission of large cache of arms and ammunition. Similarly, the operational activities of troops of Operation Hadirin Daji and Operation Wild Punch have made significant impacts to curtail banditry and insurgency in the north-west and the north-central regions of the country. The upsurge in anti-illegal oil bunkering operations by troops of Operation Delta Safe in the South-South region has yielded desirable outcomes. This is indicative by the appreciable improvement in the country's daily crude oil production. Similarly, the operation...
Well, that was a track up on that story, and it's still on insecurity, defense activities. We're talking about CDS here, Chief of Defense Staff, happening on timely intelligence sharing. Intelligence sharing, not just intelligence, but sharing.
Yes, it's a follow-up of our last discussion.
Yeah.
When it comes to issues of defense, when it comes to issues of security, you cannot rule out the issue of intelligence sharing.
Yeah.
Because it helps to locate a particular location of where these bandits operate from, their hideouts, and then also helps to ensuring that they are being rooted out. Helping the military personnel to ensuring their moves also, because in the course of defending the nation, they also defend themselves. So knowing, having requisite or pre-information as to the proper location, as to their hideouts, also give them the avenue to ensuring how to operate, how to move, and how to strike. But I must also emphasize clearly that issues of security is not only limited to going to root out the hideouts of criminals, going to seeking where to destroy them. But sometimes there are some factors which, brings about insecurity in the country. And largely speaking, poverty is one of them. So if government should also try as much as possible, to reel out some policies which help maximally to creating enormous employment in the country. Some of these bandits do this banditry for genuine reasons. Some of them, go
genuine? Can it be?
For instance,
can anybody be genuine?
For instance,
can any criminal activity be a genuine one? They may have reasons.
Yes.
Every thief has a reason for doing. So I think I accept the idea of using the word genuine.
Okay.
You may have a reason for doing what they are doing.
Yes.
But that reason may not be genuine.
Yes. Some may also be genuine. For instance, the militants in Niger that they are classified as
legitimate agitation.
Legitimate agitation, but carrying arms.
Okay.
You understand? No, passing through the wrong means to ventilating your very good cause. You understand? There's no law which permits you in any way, in any guise, to carry arms unlawfully. There's no law which permits you to go and destroy properties belonging to people unlawfully. These are criminal activities. Or you may have genuine cause. Okay? So look at the underlying reasons. How far can you ensure that people maximally jobs are created, everywhere in the country, and those who have it in their DNA to perpetually commit crimes will be shifted from the good ones, So because there are those, despite whatever you are, it is right in your blood, and you continue with it despite whatever thing you have been given, or despite the comfort you enjoy. So if all these things are being read out, good policies are being read out, and then people are comfortable, and then spot out those who continue in this criminality, that these are the people who should be fought against. it is good that the military is taking this action, taking the bull by the horn, to ensuring that the level of criminality, banditry, and the rest of it is being curtailed maximally. But other approaches are there by the government to ensuring that, to a larger extent, the level of criminality is reduced in the society.
Well, I think that there's another issue here, and what a lot of security watchers call intelligence breach.
Yes.
Well, the CDS talks about intelligence sharing, and we've had cases of intelligence breach where intelligence leaks to the criminals within. I think that if you're talking about sharing intelligence, there should be some level of discreteness, because most of the ambush that have claimed the lives of Nigerian soldiers have come as a result of this intelligence breach. And that should be the next issue that the security agencies must handle, because there are always what you call the fifth columnist within the system that leak some of this intelligence and make the soldiers vulnerable in the battlefront. And this has claimed so many lives. It's unfortunate, really,
You're very
because they don't seem to be talking about it.
Yes, you are very correct. And that is why when issues of recruitment of soldiers, of law enforcement agents comes up, there should be some level of diligence in making their proper scrutiny as to the people. Sometimes some of these people who are in the, we cannot rule out the fact that some of these people are some of the dissidents, people who have perpetrated some level of crimes and the other, come up.
And they use the army as a cover.
They use the army as a cover. And you recruit them into the system, unknown. And these people will serve as dissidents in the group, giving out information to people who they were already familiar with and committing a lot of crimes. So recruitment procedures should be streamlined and scrutinized properly, ensuring that the people who comes into these forces, comes into the law enforcement agencies, should be people who would not act against the interests of the country.
Yes.
Yes.
And the next thing about this is the principle of reintegrating so-called repentant Boko Haram people, for example, into the army. Because that is the source of the leakage that we're talking about.
That is
so why do we do that?
Yes, although during our bar conference...
Sorry, because it's different from what the case of River State or the case of Niger Delta.
Yes.
Where the ex-agitators are now maintaining surveillance of pipeline and all that. It's a different scenario.
Yes, a different scenario.
But this is an outright terrorist movement.
Yes.
When you capture them,
yes,
you give them amnesty and reintegrate them into the system. Go ahead with your narration.
This issue...
So it came up in your law?
Came up in the MBA
conference. Yes,
yes. The 63rd bar conference that recently was held at Abuja.
Yes.
And the representative of the Chief of Army Staff made it clear. So that is a rumor which they have been hearing. But that what they do is that they shifter those who are being captured, that there are different categories of them. Those who are not actually participatory in that terrorist activities, what they do is to bring them for further rehabilitation. They
profile them, right?
Rehabilitation.
I know, first of all, they profile them.
Yes.
And then separate the seed from the chaff.
And those who are found wanting in the criminality who actually perpetrated this act, what they do is to send them for prosecution. That nobody, according to him, that nobody from this gang or terrorist group is being recruited into the Nigerian army.
What about those who do intelligence for them? The people you may think are innocent could be those who do intelligence for them.
Yes.
And then you declare them innocent and then integrate them into the system.
So that I'm just saying what he said.
Yes.
I say I'm not a
yes.
However, we know or see what happens.
Yes.
You may not see them in details as for those who are in the field.
Yeah.
Who are actually doing the work of security. You know, but he has stated his position. But Nigerians are saying what they have seen and perceived.
Yeah.
You know, and there is, to every rumor, there is an atom of truth in it. And you have also stated it here, you know, but when he came up in the Nigerian Bar Association conference, he clarified and said that nothing of such is happening. So let me take it by let me take him by his words.
Yes.
Being a very senior officer of the army and a representative of the chief of army staff who spoke in the conference.
Well, generally, they should check intelligence breaches because there's religious sympathy, there's ethnic sympathy,
yes,
and jihad. You don't know who is involved. Everybody, some jihadists, extreme Islamic jihadists, are within the ranks of the army.
Yes.
When army is talking about intelligence, they should look at the Arakan files and profile them properly, such that those who are peddling or sources of intelligence leakages should be court-martials. Okay, there have been so many court-martials to give them benefit of doubt.
Yes.
They've had several court-martials recently, and part of that has been this intelligence leakages and all that. That's an interesting one. Let's look at another story. President Bola Tinubu has assured that he is committed to rebuilding the nation, noting that Nigeria has no reason to be poor, considering the vast natural resources the country is blessed with in almost every part of the country. President re-echoed his commitment to uplifting the nation while speaking when he received traditional and political leaders from Rivers State today, or Rivers State at the presidential villa. That was yesterday, on Saturday. That was yesterday on Friday, yes. The appointment of former Governor of Rivers State, Yeso Wike, as Federal Capital Territory Minister, the President also vowed not to disappoint Nigerians, recognizing the trust and magnitude of expectation and responsibility bestowed on him. President Tinubu, however, encouraged Nigerians to look beyond the present situation in the country and see the bigger picture. Earlier, Rivers State Governor called on Nigerians to exercise patience with the policies of President Bola Tinubu for future dividends. Other members of the delegation of Rivers State dignitaries include elders and traditional rulers, among others. Here is our correspondent report on this August visit by Rivers people to the president.
I am the captain, the chief statesman of the country right now. We have to reverse the trend. We have to make what appeared difficult very easy and achieve possibilities within a very short period of time. Our people are expecting a lot from us. How much longer is lamentation possible? I'm not the president that will give excuses. I want to work hard for our nation. A nation united by a single purpose, development, focused, determined, make wealth, prosperity a target for all. We have no.
However, we humbly urge Mr. President to note that access to the refinery on the East-West Road is in most deplorable state, and we appeal to Mr. President to approve the reconstruction thereof so as to facilitate the transportation of petroleum products from the refinery. On our part, the state government has, in demonstration of our love and support for your kind effort, commenced the construction of Moji Aleto Alisa Refinery Road, which also leads to the refinery, to provide a temporary alternative route for commuters to the refinery and surrounding areas, while you embark on the construction of that section of East-West Road. We know that Nigerians are expecting so much from you within the shortest possible time. However, we humbly urge Mr. President to note that.
You're welcome back. That was a visit by Rivers Elders, Governor and Rivers Elders, chiefs and opinion leaders to Aso Rock. That happened during the week. And the outcome of that visit is the promise of the president to reconstruct the Eleme axis of East-West Road that has lingered over time. And for giving particular attention to that road means that he was considering Rivers State in the first place, because East-West Road goes beyond that. But there was supposed to be a particular consideration for Rivers State. And that movement was bipartisan. Not just PDP, not just APC, but PDP and APC. They closed ranks. Traditional rulers were involved, stakeholders, opinion leaders. I saw the chairman of Traditional Rulers Council there, talking about Sergeant Awuse. And the governor presented the position of the state. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's good because, one, like I have always stated, this issue of federal rule thing, there should be a way that such a thing should be scrapped. To me, I would say that the enablement, the proper enablement should be given to various states of the federation, and which is what true federalism is all about, where states should be given the opportunity to control their resources and have enough to bringing about meaningful development in their various localities. Because one, it is these people that live within various localities. The president cannot sit in Aso to know where it pinches everybody in the state. But the people who can easily locate where the problem lies is the people at the locality. And if they are given the enablement, there wouldn't be need to visit the Aso Rock, for instance, for the purposes of requesting or construction of, that is time wasting. Ordinarily, if the states or the federating unit should be enabled, every state should construct their own, aspect of what they call the federal road, get to the boundary of another state, and from that boundary, another state, the other state should take it up from there, if they have the enablement. Because various federating units already know that the resources are being controlled by the federal. And because the resources are being controlled by the federal, what they do is giving them monthly allocations and sharing to them from the federal allocation, and then states also gather in Abuja. But if that should be, made to fizzle out, allow the states to grow in their own pace, just like what has been done recently with the electricity by the enactment of the Electricity Act. Watch out what will happen in the next few years in terms of electricity supply, generation, and distribution. So the same thing should also be applicable in the management of the economy, so that the states will be enabled to face challenges without recourse to the federal government. Because these are things that are found within their localities. There shouldn't be anything that should be called federal road. All roads in the state should be seen as roads utilized by the indigenous of that state, and the state government should be responsible for those. And now, how do they become responsible? Because they all know the resources are domiciled in the federal. Or if they should have the psyche or the understanding that they control the resources or pay some certain quota to the federal government, which is the true federalism we're talking about, they wouldn't organize themselves to go and, meet the federal government. To tell them, because they are closer to what the people, they know where it pinches the people. They know their problems. They know where there are potholes.
Yeah.
And where there is none.
Yeah.
whether federal roads or state roads.
No, I think that what you're talking about has to do with fiscal federalism.
Fiscal federalism.
And if we have resource control, that is the beginning of fiscal federalism.
That is it.
You control your resources and you pay tax to the federal government.
Yeah, there wouldn't be any need.
And utilize your money to work, so that the issue of exclusive list will be limited to some areas.
Exactly.
And then the concurrent list will now fizzle out, as it were.
Exactly.
And then you have a little bit of exclusive list, and then concurrent will fizzle out and have residual list.
So that states...
So states can now control their resources
they want to do without recourse
and use their money to do that. But in absence of that, I think that federal government of the day will launch a vigorous campaign to rehabilitate federal roads. Federal roads in the southeast and south-south, speak volumes of negativity and sordid neglect. I think that something has to be done. Driving from Enugu to Port Harcourt is almost impossible. And so we should not give an impression that one section of the country is expected to be neglected. If you talk about the Lagos Highway, that's a major highway that takes care of the southwest. Talk about the north. They have very solid roads. And you know that it takes more, it costs more to build roads in the south, south, and southeast because of the nature of our environment. And so government should make a deliberate effort to do something beyond the restructuring we are talking about, because your suggestion has to do with restructuring. Now, how soon are we going to restructure? And if we're not restructuring very soon, but we continue to apply debt traps in the name of roads?
Well, the issue there is, aside the restructuring, which is a vital tool for speedy development.
Yeah.
The federal government, obviously, Nigeria is too vast. Nigeria is too big for the central to, at a glance, control.
Yeah.
And touch every area and bring about meaningful development.
Yeah.
Now, particularly in terms of road construction, definitely, whether I like it or not, we'll continue to crawl in that very snail-like pace. But it will be active and more robust, more effective and faster if the states should be allowed
to do their...
I'm telling you the truth.
Well, yes, but the handicap is that that is not feasible now because of...
It's not impossible.
It's not impossible, but it's not feasible now because of the kind of structure of federalism that we run. Until we have a federalism that can do it right.
So the issue of federal roads...
So they have had the idea of refunding states. So why not fund states at once to do it now, rather than wait for restructuring? Is that's their position?
Oh, well, the issue there is...
Fund states to do the roads. Rather than allowing the states to do the roads and then you refund.
Yes, but although it has been specifically stated, in the past, although there have been refunds as per states who embarked on federal roads. But you should also understand that the current position of the federal government now is that before you embark on any federal road, you must seek the leave of the federal government. And that is a very slow pace at which this development can come.
Okay, we'll go on a water break now. We'll come back shortly. Don't get away. You're welcome back. It is still Atlantic Television Saturday on your favorite frequency. You're talking about Atlantic Television Network here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. I still have my key speaker here in the studio. He's very vibrant, talking about Yesum Wanodi. You're welcome. He's a lawyer.
Sir.
Lawyers don't get tired. You saw what happened at the tribunal during the election petition court judgment, delivery of judgment. 12, 13 hours. And while others were sleeping, the judges were at alert. But lawyers were sleeping. The lawyers were sleeping. And Nigerians who set all eyes on the judiciary had their eyes closed against the judiciary. Even some journalists were sleeping. Well, I think you're equal to the task. Lawyers are very strong people. Now, ahead of the 63rd Independence Anniversary celebration, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation has inaugurated a 15-member committee for planning the independence celebrations. Senator George Akume inaugurated the committee shortly before the interministerial meeting towards Independence Day celebration. Our correspondent Rotimi Adewuyi reports.
The Independence Day anniversary is held on the 1st of October, where opportunities present itself to reflect on the contributions and sacrifices of the nation's national heroes and heroines who fought for the independence of Nigeria from colonial masters. This also serves as an opportunity to recount the success achieved in previous years. While inaugurating the committee, Senator George Akume said the proposed activities for the celebration will be finalized by the Interministerial Committee and will involve a World Press Conference on the 25th of September. The activities will also feature a summit, while the presidential broadcast will be on the 1st of October, which will be followed by the Independence Day Parade on the 2nd of October.
9th of September, Symposium Public Lecture, 28th of September. Presidential broadcast will be on the 1st of October, and the parade will be on the 2nd. The terms of reference of each subcommittee and list of membership will be sent by the Secretariat, while subcommittee secretaries will present their budgets for consideration and approval. On this note, it is my singular honor and privilege to inaugurate this committee.
The members of the 15-man committee include the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Toga, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, among others. Rotimi Adewuyi, ATN News, Abuja.
Welcome back from that report. Correspondent Rotimi there, filing the report from Abuja. And you can see exactly the fact that they are preparing seriously for the 63rd independence anniversary. And Nigeria is 1, 2, 3 tenths and tenths of 6 plus 3. And it's a different kind of preparation now, a 15-man committee. Every year we celebrate independence anniversary and we remind ourselves from where we are coming from. We remind ourselves of the need to fulfill our pledge never to betray the efforts of our hero past. We look at the words of our former national anthem, Nigeria we held it, our own dear native country, and all that. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Very vibrant national anthem. Even the present national anthem is still as vibrant as ever and holds some level of promise for a nation that should give us hope and fulfillment, a nation that will bring development, a nation that will guarantee peace and prosperity for its own people. That is the Nigeria that we stand for. And that is the Nigeria we're going to celebrate on the 1st of October.
Yes, independence celebration is not bad. It's, but I must state clearly that what Africans generally, and particularly Nigeria, celebrates is independence from colonial leadership and our freedom of the opportunity for
govern themselves.
Yeah, to govern themselves. But we must understand that independence goes beyond leadership. Independence goes beyond your freedom to govern yourself. But you must also understand economic independence. Also understand that you must have financial independence, in terms of fiscal policies. You must also try as much as possible to not allowing any institution or whatever IMF or thereabout to dictate as to how fiscal, So independence should be holistic and not more particular. So it is good. The first port of call, or where it begins, is the independence or your opportunity to lead yourself. It begins from there. Yes, quite all right. And it is worth celebrating that you have been given the opportunity to lead yourself. But I must state clearly that Nigeria as a country, we have a lot of economic, natural resources, God-given, which breeds economic activities. To what extent do we have the manpower, the personnel to control these resources? Who controls it? Who controls all these resources for us? So do we say that we're independent in that area? It's a capital no. Do we also say that we control how our monetary policies are being, being fashioned, not allowing an institution, an external institution, to dictate as to how you should devaluate and when not to devaluate your currency? We also say that we're independent in that area. So independence depends on what we perceive as independence. If independent to me, it is not holistic, and where there is some tendencies of neo-colonialism, not allowing, although you have separated yourself from the colonial masters, but to an extent, to a greater extent, you do not have your might. What do we produce today? You still have that dependence approach, depending on your colonial master, on some decisions, on some policies, as to what you are endowed with. So by the time we look inwards, give ourselves the capacity. And how do we give ourselves the capacity? Fashioning our educational system in the right direction, so as to breed the capacity. Breed the personnel who have the capacity to man, to revive, to control our resources. Then that is when we can boastfully say that we have...
That's a very brilliant contribution there. Now, look at Nigeria. A lot of people have talked about the foundation, because it's the foundation that determines what you have. If your foundation is not right, then whatever you're building is rubbish. You crack, no matter the beautiful edifice you put up. Now look at Nigeria. The foundation of Nigeria, different ethnic nationalities coming together, different regions coming together. That was the foundation we were built upon, the 3 regions. And people came together as ethnic nations, not people of one accord, some kind of strange bedfellows coming together. Look at the political institution, the structure, the history. Let's look at from the amalgamation Constitution of 1914, down to Clifford Constitution, down to the Little Constitution, Macpherson, all that, to the independent Constitution of 1960. We've led a governmental structure that seems to affect our behavior. Don't you think so?
Yes.
Even down to 1963 Republican Constitution. We have laid that foundation. And our behavior is dictated on what we got from the beginning. Nothing has changed. We still reason as Nigerians who come from... Now, look at the last election, for example. The political parties were divided on the regional lines, unlike what we have had, because the 2-party system that we have had over time has removed Nigeria from that colonial, primordial structure of a tripod. You have MPP in the east, you have an action group or whatever, an MPC in the north and all that. But we got back to it through Labour Party. Nigeria got back to it. And nothing seems to have changed over time. We seem to be moving in circles. Can you look at the history of Nigeria, the political, the constitutional development, even the pre-colonial institutions, to where we are today, as reason for where we have not really moved? Because you talk about neo-colonialism, too much dependent, because what we had was flag independence, and we still depend on the colonial masters. It is worse in the Francophone countries. Can you give a hindsight of history to look at why we are where we are?
Well, you know, when it comes to, although to an extent, a father who begat a child don't expect the child to behave differently. They expect the child to follow the trajectory. Now, the issue there is, in 1914, there was an amalgamation by Lord Lugard, bringing different ethnic nationalities together and making them one, the northern protectorates and the southern protectorates, joining them together and forming what we call today Nigeria. And over time, they have evolved different constitutional reforms, you know, up to date, up to this our 1999 Nigerian Constitution, which has, over time, undergone different amendments procedures. I must state clearly that in every human life evolves. And the evolvement is all about expectant of growth, you know. But however, you must state, we must clearly, you know, bring ourselves back as to why, in the first place, Nigerians decided to say, look, we do not want to be under your control anymore. We do not want to be under any person who should dictate for us as to how to live our lives. And then, after which, it was fought against. Then the colonial masters agreed, seeing their reasons, seeing their resistance from continuous, you know, continuous control. They decided to leave. The question, therefore, that should be asked, what was your reason for leaving? What did you see? There are people, the colonial masters, we are not doing right, that made you to say, what do you think you wanted to do for your people that made you feel that it is time for you to govern? That should be the question. And now, the essence of governing yourself is for the purposes of managing your affairs, managing your resources, and then taking your destiny into your hands. The blame should be not what the colonial masters bequeathed. The blame should be on the Nigerians, who have taken independence, who have decided to go on their own. What have you been able to do with that independence you have gotten? That should be the question.
That's the question, yeah. Very brilliant question.
Yes, that should be the question.
Yes.
And not till today.
So we should not blame the historical antecedents.
No, you shouldn't blame any person. You shouldn't blame the colonial masters. Although they came and did their own economic...
brought strange bedfellows together.
Yes. For their own
created some confusion.
Yeah, for their own economic
and political benefits, yes.
And benefits, you know. But that time has passed. We should not dwell in the past.
In the past, yeah.
There is a reason why you came to say, look, I want to govern myself.
Okay.
What is that reason? Have you been able to meet up to the expectations of that reason? That should be the question.
I think that's important there because a lot of people have always looked at historical antecedents to look at the way the divide and rule that the British introduced and the issue of primordial loyalty rather than having loyalty for country.
Yes.
And the issue of patriotism not being there. People think of a divided country and show loyalty to their various enclaves.
Yes.
But there's another thing that we have to look back to and learn from history. People have always talked about going back to the 1960 Constitution because of revenue what do you call it? The revenue sharing formula, which was almost 50%, right?
Yes.
For regions.
Yes.
And people have talked about that as something that we must emulate. Another thing people talked about the 1960 independent constitution is the issue of a parliamentary system. Some people say we should go back to parliamentary system. These are two issues that Nigerians look back to with some kind of nostalgia and say, well, that was what we got directly from the colonial masters. Can we sustain it in our move to restructure the country so that we can give the country a new vista? Is it just a case of people thinking back too much and having some unmerited nostalgia?
Well, the issue of the structure and the 1960 constitution, which introduced the regional system government
and derivation,
where the regions, thrived their own parts. And
they utilize their resources.
Yes, and contribute meaningfully. And to an extent, if you look at the regional settings, that is the similitude of what we can safely call the true federal structure. Although region
that's in terms of physical sharing.
In terms of fiscal sharing.
It's close to that.
Yeah,
because now you have 13%, then they have 50%.
Exactly. And if you look at our economy as at then,
it was better.
It was better.
Regions were developing on their own, and there was that kind of competitiveness.
Yeah, it was at
cocoa,
granite, the granite pyramid, and the cocoa and the rest of them. People looked inward, look at what they have, and harnessed it efficiently to the benefit of the economy.
And there was competition.
There was competition. But this time around, it's a kind of, after 1954, when the oil was first discovered at the Lowery, and the structuring of the country into what we are today, the federal system, which is not workable, that looks like unitary form.
Exactly.
That is why people are clamoring
for
true federalism.
Okay.
And this true federalism, which looks like the regional system as at then, where the regions controlled their resources, where the regions controlled what they had, where there was competition effectively, and then there was, apart from the competitiveness, and apart from the harnessing of their various resources, there was the contribution at the federal level. So
even the other people have argued that system removed loyalty to the center. People had more loyalty to their regions rather than... But has that changed now?
It hasn't.
It hasn't changed.
Now, the issue there, look at where we borrowed the federal system of government. Actually, what is most suitable for a kind of plural nature of... Nigeria is a plural country where we have various ethnic nationalities having different ethnic groups, speaking different languages. It requires a system which should allow for self-governance, so that the locals who understand themselves, understand their language, will be able to relate to themselves efficiently, to bring about efficiency in governance. Now, the federal system, there's nothing wrong with the federal system, but what we're talking about, there's something perpetually wrong with the federal system of Nigeria.
What we are doing.
What we are doing. The federal system which we borrowed from the United States of America is not the same way United States of America.
That is true federalism.
True federalism. Where the central should be allowed to, the exclusive legislatives to talk about the issues of military, controlling the military.
That's it.
Yes, where there is external aggression,
international affairs,
international relations. To handle that, it's good, and not the issue where you cajole the federating units, take control and then enact petroleum resources, petroleum
land use decree,
land use act. Although land use act is not is favorable to the state governors, where land
belongs to the governor.
Belongs to the governors. But the petroleum, where even if land belongs to the governor, but where there is a similitude of a discovery of any mineral, that becomes the federal government.
Federal government, exactly. So it's still the same on land. So it's still part of land use decree.
Yes. So
land use law, I mean.
Yes. Now the issue there is: has it been efficient? Has it been helpful for the economic growth of the federation? And the people whom you copied this system from, is it the same way they practice it? And how has it augured with them? Although United States of America have their own challenges, or look at the federal system. The federal system is such a way that each state control their resources, flow in their own pace, have their own securities. We have state police, you know, and you see the level of, although there is insecurity there, but not as much as we have in the country. And not the situation whereby, you know, some people will form delegation and be going to the federal government, and they be complaining of dilapidated nature of their federal roads. But if they should have this system in place where it's a workable federal system, where they should be allowed to flow in their own pace, controlling their resources, having their own state police, you see that there wouldn't be need to form any delegation to meet the federal government to complain for anything,
yes.
But they can solve their problems themselves even before the federal government.
Well, I think that we're done with the second hour, and we need to approach the next hour, which is the last lap of our program. It is still Atlantic Television Saturday, your flagship program here on weekends in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. We'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll trail off with the last part of our discussion today. Don't get away. You're welcome back. We're still on the beat. We're talking about Atlantic Television Network. Saturday. President Bola Tinubu will on Sunday depart Abuja for the United States to attend the 8th UN General Assembly, which will take place from September 18 to 26, 2023 in New York City. The president on sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly will be having investment at the front and center of his conversations with his counterparts around the world in order to continue advancing very aggressively on his economic development and diplomatic drive to attract foreign direct investment into the country, as he did at the just concluded G20 summit in India. Briefing State House correspondent, the special advisor on media and publicity at Jury Ngelale, said President Tinubu will participate in 2 major summits at the UN aside from the general debate on the Assembly, including UN 2023 Summit on the Sustainable Development Goals and the UN Secretary General's Climate Ambition Summit, where he will lay out his plans for Nigeria's energy transition and the role that the nation's partners in the business community, foreign investment, foreign governments, and non-governmental organizations will play in the actualization of Nigeria's ambition to get to net zero by 2060. The President will also meet with major chief executives and leaders of multinational firms cutting across multiple sectors of the economy as part of a series of very important side activities that will have wide-ranging ramifications on the Nigerian economy. The President will also be presiding over an event that is the Nigerian Small and Medium-Scale Business Summit to ensure that Nigeria keys in on opportunities that are being presented by Nigerian-owned small and medium-scale enterprises to make an impact in foreign markets. According to the presidential spokesman, this is aimed at attracting foreign direct investment, jobs, and new tax revenues to the shores of the country. This is coming after the president's successful trip to New Delhi for the G20 and the staggering amount of investment he has been able to attract to Nigeria in very short period of time. Let's see the track up on that.
Look to expand their operations beyond the shores of Nigeria, and that is what that summit is intending to do. In addition to that, the president will be speaking at the UN high-level reform of the global financial architecture. This is a sequel to the engagement Mr. President had in Paris. It will essentially allow our president to lay out his vision for a fairer international financial system that does not any longer leave out developing countries from the decision-making table. He's very determined to drive this. He's leading it from the front, and that's a very important engagement on his schedule. Look to expand their operations beyond the shores of Nigeria, and that is what that summit is intending to do.
Welcome back. The president continues globetrotting, and he has been able to give us insights. Even during Gelale, the spokesman, has been able to give us insights about the outcomes of this globetrotting in India, G12, in Saudi Arabia, in various parts of the world, even in the United States. And we've had this globetrotting, and most of the time, what he brings to the table is the issue of foreign direct investment. And a lot of people are talking about foreign direct investment, and they say that in bringing foreign direct investment, we should also talk about bringing the right investment climate in Nigeria. Because if the investment climate is not right, then you'll not be talking about direct foreign investment and win investors to come into Nigeria.
Yes. Well, the environment, the proper environment climate, I suppose, talk about the issue of, one of it is the issue of security. One of it is the issue of the proper policies being put in place to ensuring that investors find the environment attractive for investment. Now, the president, one of the hallmark of diplomacy, one of the hallmarks of international relations is to ensuring that you look for a way to also seek for economic benefit. Such does not call for any such a relationship. Like it has always been said, whether we like it or not, every country have their own sentiment towards developing their own countries. Every reasonable government must have that sentiment towards development of. That is why United States of American president, the former American, that is Donald Trump, has always advocated the American first policy, and that's to engender the idea that everything he does, America will be considered first. The same thing is expected of every leader nationwide, and I feel that is what the president is doing, selling out Nigeria and then making the whole the economic, the global community to understand the safety measures that have been put in place, to house investments in Nigeria. And like the tour he had, the G20 summit that was held in India, in New Delhi, where he met series of economists, series of investors. One of which so prominent is the Hinduja, where he exposited the viability of Nigerian economy and the readiness of his administration to ensure that the proper avenue or proper conducive environment is given for economic investment thrive in the country. I think it's a very good one. It's a welcome development. That is what is expected of a leader.
Yeah.
To attract foreign investment into the country, which go a long way to breeding job creation, to breeding tax revenue collection, to boosting our tax collection in terms of revenue boosting. It's good, and for the purposes of development.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get revenue, by the time you get there is increase in taxation, I think there will be avenue for better infrastructural development, there will be avenue for job creation, then there will be avenue for people, and the level of insecurity will also reduce. Because by the time we talk about engaging some person, because they say that Iron Woman is a workshop for the devil.
Yeah.
And also, that will also go a long way to curtailing insecurity, creating jobs, for the populace, for the citizens, for the benefit of everyone in the country. It's a welcome development. So the president is the right direction towards ensuring economic viability of the country. So that is my take.
Well, now looking at this, one will ask the question about. The question will be UNGA, that's United Nations General Assembly. That's what the president is going. The question will be, what do Nigerians expect the president to be telling the world? Despite the albatross hanging on his neck, the albatross of unfinished motion at the election petition court. Now it's at the IPS court. What would he be telling the world there at United Nations? Well, he'll be winning investors. But beyond that, what else can he be telling?
Well, the issue of the election petition is separated from the economic activity. Governance continues.
Okay.
In as much as we are concerned, he is the captain ship of Nigerian economic movement, and in every aspect of our economic life. When it comes to governance, President Tinubu is the only person known for the time being. Yeah. The issue of the election petition and the matter at the Supreme Court is a domestic matter, which does not affect governance for the time being. Government is continuing. Where the situation arises and it is found by the Supreme Court that the president is not the legitimate person to be in that position, it does not stop economic activities, it does not stop governance. Whoever is pronounced to be the winner continues from where he stopped. So it's a continuum, okay? So the issue there is President Tinubu, for the time being, will continue to steer the ship, continue to take decisions, economic decisions of the country until the Supreme Court pronounces one way or the other. So it has nothing to do with governance.
Nothing to do with governance. Well, let's let this story because someone will be coming to bring some level of entertainment to the program in the next bit. We'll come back from water break, but not now. And the economy, let's look at the Accountant General of the Federation, Dr. Olawotoyin Meden, has reaffirmed a commitment to upholding and promoting the ideals of prudence, transparency, and accountability in government financial transactions. The statement is issued in Abuja. The AGF said she will take requisite steps to permanently resolve reserved and potential threats to the efficient and continuous implementation of all financial management reforms initiated by the federal government. Dr. Meden explained that since assumption of office, she has undertaken in-depth review of the financial reforms and will leverage on the outcome of the review to inject new ideas and strategies into the project to sustain the gains. He said the OAGF will sustain the practice of publishing the details of FAC revenue distribution to the 3 tiers of government. Many noted that publication of the revenue distribution will keep Nigerians abreast with the revenue generation and distribution efforts of the federal government and also help them balance government performance with revenue inflows all levels. The OAGF revealed that the 2022 revenue distribution figures were ready for publication, adding that this will be followed by the publication of the details of revenue distribution so far made in 2023. He explained that the seeming delay in publishing the 2022 figures was due to a number of factors, including the overriding determination to institute appropriate and permanent mechanism that will guarantee continuous publication of the revenue distribution. Now you see what's happening there. They'll be publishing. Open governance is important.
Very, very.
And that doesn't seem to be the style in Nigeria. Nigerians want to see. That's why you have the media. That was why there was a telecast of the electoral election appeal court and all that, because Nigerians want to see. For those you govern, you must show evidence that you're prepared to govern them.
Yes.
It's important in any economy.
Very, very important. In fact, it's further engenders some level of confidence amongst the citizens as to the functions of the government, as to what the activities of the government. Because the people in question are the owners of these resources, are the owners of this money, and they want to know how you spend their money, how their monies are being distributed, how revenues are being generated, how much is being expended. Every responsible government, every government that does not have anything to hide would definitely show transparency. And one of the ways of showing transparency is by constant publication of expenses. People do not want to know where you have gone to, or people want to know how you spend the money.
Yes, because Nigerians are very conscious.
Yes.
I know an organization that talks about budget vigilance.
Yes.
They want to know how the budget is being expended from details.
Yes.
It doesn't seem to happen in the States. Budget vigilance is not there. People don't monitor budgets. And people don't, because the government just sit down and spoon feed the people. We're going to build town, we're going to build this for you, we're going to build that for you. And then people don't follow how this thing is done. And people don't contribute to what should be in the budget. That is the problem of participation.
Yes,
and then at the center, you talk about FAC. I'm very interested in the fact that they want to publish fact. Because most times the states, some states say they get nothing and they don't have enough to develop their various states. States go cap in hand to the center to get this money. And when this money is shared, sometimes local government is shortchanged. Let them publish this so that people will know how much the local government gets, and people will now know why local government is so underdeveloped.
Yes.
And we know which state is whacking, sorry to use that word, whacking the money of the local government.
That's correct. Yeah. Because by the information people will get as to the level of accountability of their government, particularly at their local level, there should be some level of responsiveness. And the people will start holding their leaders accountable, you know, holding them responsible. But sometimes there is, because of misinformation, there's some persons blaming state government, blaming the federal government in what ordinarily the local government should have their functions to. And I must also advocate that this issue of constant publication made part and parcel of our laws, so that, and it be made compulsory, you know, so that to engender some level of transparency, so as to build the confidence of the people in governance, as to their leaders, holding their leaders accountable for whatever financial misappropriation that ensues.
Especially as it comes to the legitimacy of local government and the possibility of local government being autonomous, the autonomy of local government. This fact allocation publication will tell Nigerians whether local government have acted in an autonomous manner, whether state government have allowed local government to function.
Yes.
That is the question. What is your take in the entire revenue sharing formula between state and local government?
Well, ordinarily,
should the federal government give them money directly? Do we have residual list?
Yes.
Some people say the residual list doesn't exist. The state has pocketed it.
Although there has been an opinion in the last confab from the southeastern states, stating that though the 3 tiers of government should exist, however, the way the federal government, the way the state governments are federating units to the federal government,
that's where local government.
That should also be a way the local government should be as a form of federating unit to the states, you know. So
in all ramifications.
That is this.
But unfortunately, your law seems to kind of limit the local government.
Well, the local government,
where you dissolve them at will and form caretaker and all that.
The law does not give room for that dissolution. There have been series of judgments where such instances happen and such dissolutions upturned. Local government being a tier of a government of its own, constitutionally guaranteed, is a constitutional provision.
Yeah.
You know, that local government is a government, a tier of government of its own that should control its resources, should control the whole thing that pertains governance. And then there are functions as specified under the Constitution as to what local government should handle. The issue of market, issue of, you know,
even primary education.
Primary healthcare.
And primary education.
Primary education, and the rest of them. A lot of functions.
Sanitation.
Or sometimes sanitation. And sometimes you see the state government hijacking the whole of these things.
Maybe especially in cases where local government is not effective, like in River State. Primary education was taken over by the state.
Yes.
Sanitation was taken over by the state.
Primary health also.
Primary health was taken by the state. Leaving local government
Building of markets also.
Yes, so leaving the local government with little attention. And yet, not much is being done. Why? And they use that to justify why they should tamper with local government funds.
Yes, that shouldn't be.
So when there's FAC allocation, they say, we have taken over your schools, so what do you need money for?
The issue there is that...
is it backed up by law?
Once the law provides, the law has provided for the autonomy of the local government.
Yes.
And
they're not fiscal autonomy.
Both fiscal autonomy.
So what's happening?
Now, the issue there is, what we have is flagrant disobedience to the rule of law by state government, who feels that they can hijack from the local government. Sometimes even they go as far as dictating who becomes the, as if it's an appointive position. A local government chairman is like a governor of the locality of that people, who brings government nearer to the people, you know, and responsible for the economic activities, responsible for the economic development, security, social, as enshrined in the Constitution and enabling laws, empowering it to so do. Now, it has become a norm. It has become a routine in Nigeria, not only in Rivers State, but all over the country. In Imo State, we have instances where the former governor, Rocha Sokorocha, single-handedly picked local government chairman, and then went to court. And what happened? The court reversed that and gave a landmark decision up to the Supreme Court, saying that local government are government of their own. Different tier of government.
But the problem is that the law does not provide any punishment for the abuse of the powers of local government by states.
Yes, that's
the problem.
Another thing is, you know, the state we talk about, you know, these are laws.
So the houses of assemblies of various states flagrantly abuse the powers of local government.
That is correct. But you must understand, the person at the helm of affairs who takes whatever decision that is being taken, whom you point out to, is a governor.
Yeah, he's a governor.
And under the Constitution, the governor has immunity.
Immunity, okay.
Over prosecution. You understand what I'm saying? So,
are there no other ways to check what they do?
Well, there are. You know, there are, because by the time policies are put in place to put into function the law, to bring the law into proper function, to ensuring that this same thing we are talking about, when you bring about true federalism, you see that the law being fashioned in such a way that the local government, the state government should operate in their own stead.
Okay.
Local government in their own, the way the state government is to the federal government, that is the way the local government are to the states.
Yeah.
Okay, so the states, in the course of the true federal spirit, will also have their own quota to contribute.
Yeah. Thank you.
So while controlling their own resources, pay some quotas to the state government, you know, by so doing, you say that the local government will be largely independent financially.
Well, thank you very much. This is much we can take from our brother here. We're talking about a lawyer, Nyesom Wonodi. He's a barrister at law. Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have a water break for 1 minute, and we'll bring in an entertainer to speak on some entertainment stories shortly. Stay tuned.
Thanks.
Well, welcome back. Well, in the next half hour, we'll be looking at entertainment. And There's a comedian here in the studio. He calls himself son of man. I'm also son of man. And you're also son of woman, right?
Son of
You're the son of man and you're the son of woman. Well, Jesus was called the son of man too. Why are you sounding so religious? I can see you with a cross.
No, I'm not even sounding so religious. I'm just being gay.
Really?
Even before Jesus was called son of man, I think God called Ezekiel son of man.
Okay.
Far
I wish you had come earlier to give us a lot of fun, and this banter would have had some deeper perspective and to entertain our immune audience. Let's look at some of the stories. There's this story on entertainment which says a petition to ban Malian music has gotten over 50,000 signatures. Malian music. The petition was launched on change.org following the death of former Malian president Saini Iloroluwa Oladimeji Alaba, popularly known as Mohbad, who died barely a year after his controversial split from the Naira Marley-owned record label. The singer had alleged threats to his life by record label Ancho, Naira Marley, and his men several times while alive. Recall that Mohbad was confirmed dead on September 10, 2023. The cause of his death remains unknown. The police on Thursday said they have launched an investigation into Mohbad's demise. However, irate fans have begun signing a petition to ban the late singer's SY record label, Malian Music. The petition has garnered over 50,000 signatures at the time of filing this report. Mohbad, Malian Music. Who is a Malian? Are you usually you comedians and you entertainment entrepreneurs talk about Malian? I'm a Malian. They sag their dress.
Okay.
And all that. They're talking about Malian music.
Yeah, they have artist called
okay.
Own
Level. Okay.
That was high.
Okay. And they have Malian lifestyle?
Yes, Malian lifestyle.
What is that lifestyle all about? What is it all about?
It's best known to them that practice.
No, but you hear people talk about Malian lifestyle.
And they said back then it was the Malians wayward and all of that.
Okay, wayward, yes. Wayward culture.
Yeah, so.
And obscene culture, outlandish culture, deviant culture.
Name them.
Yeah.
Name them.
Yeah, go ahead.
So so when he trended, so he launched his music label. So he got to sign some artists to so Mohbad so bad that it happened this way. So he was one of the signees.
Yes.
A lot of.
Well, so why are they clamoring for the ban?
Yeah, because a time like this last year, so they had this disagreement.
Yeah.
They have this conflict. They have this. It was so real that even the staffs and members of the Malian music attacking the artists.
Mohbad.
So it was that severe that he had to even come online to say, if anything happens to me, hold this person
responsible. Yeah.
So, and then some persons choose to be silent over it. If not for one artist that stood with Mohbad, which is Bella Shmurda.
Yeah.
Bella Shmurda was the one that even said it openly in an interview like this, and said this guy has undergone. There was a point last year he attempted suicide.
Yeah. That's Mohbad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because man, these things, this whole quarrel, this whole thing, trying to figure out, and the threat and all of that. So somebody might just say, okay, let me just end it myself.
He found himself in a very wrong group.
I feel so. That story comes with so many controversies. So there are so many stories attached. Some of the stories we had was they were trying to force him to do a particular thing. He doesn't believe. You understand? They were trying to bring him to
his, way of life, and which he doesn't find.
Which is a Malian lifestyle.
I wouldn't say Malian lifestyle
Okay.
because Malian lifestyle could be so many things. So,
yeah, as
so it's a particular thing because if you agree here, and you don't agree here, that means there's something about this thing that you don't believe. So that was the controversies they had as of last year. That was the controversies that led to him. Even this morning, a video, internet does not forget. So there is a video flashed out this morning about somebody rallied who attacked Mohbad while he was shooting with lantern. So many things happened around this time. So this is a different year. This is a different scenario altogether.
Yes.
But people will definitely tag it back to what has happened in time past.
Yeah.
Because there was no settlement. There was no peace.
Is that why? Well, let's look at the next story. It still had a lot to do with that. Mohbad. On-air personality Chinedu Ani Emmanuel, popularly known as Nedu Wazobia, who joins voices over the death of singer Mohbad, said the Nigerian music industry is very unknown, is very dark, unknown to GF. Recall that the fast rising singer Mohbad passed Tuesday, 27th of this month. Nedu, who spoke in a voice that is currently trending on the social media, said, "This music industry is very dark. I've been in the industry for 13 years. Everybody wants to become music artists. They want to be famous and rich. The fame in the industry doesn't go beyond 2 years, although there are some artists that have special grace to reign up to 20 years or more. Those ones are called legends." According to Nedu, it's when you are popular that people will come around you and be celebrating you. But you see, the one way nobody go ever forget now, R.I.P., rest in peace, including those who forgot to post your pictures on your birthday, will never forget to post it on R.I.P. But last, for this life, don't do things for self-appraisals. Don't do them because you find them fulfillment in them. Now see our wonderful brother Mohbad. Did you know that the EP he dropped, the LP he dropped, and nobody downloaded? And after his death, the song has become top 3 on Niger Ever Play. May God rest his soul. You see the Mohbad story, and he's taking it from a different perspective. But there's something he said which I don't know. You call yourself celebrities. You call yourself your entertainer.
We don't call ourselves celebrities. You people call us celebrities.
If you call you celebrities, what will you call the anchor of this program? You call you celebrity. What do you call the anchor of this program?
No, you two are a celebrity. So, let's say the world now calls us celebrities.
That's the point. There's this perception. You also call yourself celebrity. We celebrities. Yeah. You say that. Yeah. But we don't say that. Other people who are celebrated by society for what they do don't usually say they're celebrities. Yeah, people call them. Now, in this case, he's saying that in music you don't reign beyond 2 years. Is it true? And you reign more when you are dead. His LP is going to sell more now that he's dead. But when he was alive, not much we knew about him and about his music. That the LP most people never downloaded the LP and it didn't sell. And now it's top 3.
Yeah, the true talk is 6. I keep telling my colleague that people doesn't come where nothing is happening.
Yeah.
So whether it's for good or whether it's for bad, let something happen. Understand? And you will agree with me that those persons that are cooking one event or the other, one project or the other, the persons that people want to let's bring this guy. Understand? Because whether you are doing something positive or negative, people are seeing you. Understand? Not too far from what is happening now. We just was it last month we heard that NLA made send Naira Marley their ambassador.
Yeah.
Yeah, some persons kick against it online and say this.
It was very controversial. And even when you went to NBA, Nigerian Bar Association conference, it was a top story.
So the reason why they would make him an ambassador is because they've seen him. You understand? There are persons preaching about these drugs, but they are not seen. So this other person is seen.
Why not bring somebody who is involved?
Somebody who is involved
to campaign against it.
Yes. So that is how entertainment lifestyle is.
Yeah.
So you must tell yourself that for this period, some persons work like one of my model, Basket Mad, he said, I will last in this business for the next 5 years. After 5 years, I will resign.
But he has been there for many years.
Yes, but he's giving himself a time frame now that in the next 5 years, he will stop doing comedy, stop doing. So if you want to do it, it will be on special event. You'll be going to so many things he stated. So it's a timeline for we to even acknowledge and say, okay, entertainment, we have a space of 2 years, we have a space of 3 years, we have a space of 5 years. So for you to even carry yourself till 10 years, that means, man, you have a lot of energy. That is the reason why entertainment now revolves around the young blood. Because doing those gigs back to back is not an easy one.
You know, it's very funny. I have a cousin who is a comedian, Dana the Humorous. He's my first cousin also. He said one of the problems he has is the fact that his children will carry the burden of his art. And they'll be looking at them, look at this boy whose daddy is doing mumu things. mumu things.
Yes.
So, you know, I wonder how comedians feel, you know. How do they feel? How do they think? What motivated you into comedy? We'll talk more on Mohbad's death. When we come back, we'll look at what motivated you to comedy. Mohbad was my brother, dear friend, Naira Marley. That's what Mara said. The uproar and call for online petitions against Malian music owned by Mohbad's boss, Naira Marley, has seen him join to mourn the passing of the signee. According to Aziz Fashola, also known as Naira Marley, the death of Mohbad has left him heartbroken because he was more than an artist or a signee, but a brother and dear friend. Mohbad died on Tuesday and was buried the following day. The cause of death yet undisclosed. Recall that he had a fallout last year which led to Mohbad leaving the label. It has not stopped the Malian music boss from mourning the singer. Naira Marley, in a statement he shared on his Instagram handle, described Mohbad as an incredible street star, pop star, who contributed to the foundation of the Malian music. But despite the fallout, the label never wished any harm on Mohbad, but are called the authorities to do due diligence to unravel any foul play associated with the death of the singer. Mohbad, whose name was promised Oladimeji Aloba, left behind a girlfriend, a son, who is less than a year. Una lifestyle, eh? Una lifestyle.
Our lifestyle is good because we live food.
He left behind a girlfriend.
Yes, he left somebody that will be more good.
It's more bad than that one.
This one is more good.
More good.
Yeah, because bad will not see. No bad will see.
A lot of people said Naira Marley was shedding crocodile tears. Is it true?
Yes, you know.
Is it crocodile tears? Or genuine mourning?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know because it comes from his perspective, you know. And I think if anything he's doing, some people need to learn this too, because there are so many unsettled issues around the entertainment circle.
Yes.
And it has resulted to one arrest or the other. You know, there's no point for peace. There's conflict and there's no peace.
No peace. Yes, let's take this story because I want you to give me one comment before you leave. The Lagos State Police Command Public Relations Officer, I'm talking about Benjamin Ondeyi, says the body of the late singer, Oladimeji Aloba, a.k.a. Mohbad, may be exhumed for autopsy if the need arises, following controversy surrounding the death of the 27-year-old singer, with varying allegations of threats to life while Mohbad was alive. Benjamin Hadiya, in an Instagram live session with media personality Ife Dayo, Deputy Freeze, Daddy Freeze, on Thursday, said police will carry out investigations into the cause of death of the late singer. Now, you can see his words. The first PRO issued a statement this evening, saying that an investigation would commence, and that is what we are going to do. If need be, the body will be exhumed, not too late. The body can be exhumed, an autopsy can be performed. And the first PRO also states that people should bring whatever information they have to the police in Lagos. This is because we don't want to do hierarchy anymore. Take it to force headquarters or bring it to Lagos State. Doesn't matter. We are going to harmonize it within ourselves and ensure that justice is done. And look at it. Guy is dead, and all you are getting is controversy. What do you want to assume his body? Did the body not go rest again?
Nah, for an only...
You don't see fella sang double wahala for dead body.
Not only for this part of the world, we personally the rest in peace. Say for Nigeria, dead body no the rest in peace. Only few dead body.
Yeah, move from there, yeah.
Because in a case whereby, I've tried to say this among the common men that they don't allow dead body.
Exactly.
Dead body, even if he die of something, so there are some part of this country that we put machete here, so we put broom here.
We can take a flop.
Make it and go kill her. Very. Why dead body don't try, don't suffer, they don't bury her. I'm gonna make you rest. You carry who for a hand, carry machete, put for you. They go find who.
They go find for.
And funny enough, you come closer, call you sand, closer.
On top.
How person will you close for sand when he's go? Man, so annoying. But I think these issues arising with his death and investigations. I think there was a point he complained. He laid a complaint to Nigeria police.
And
so they didn't take it serious.
That's why Pussy Naira Marley's morning I said.
So they didn't take it serious. Yeah. Why are they not taking it more serious? You understand? I complained that
they have done everything to protect him.
As I said, yes, there was a point he went to the police.
But he was not shot. So how can you blame police? He was not shot.
No.
Was he poisoned?
No. This is now. I mean, as of last year, when it was tough, he went to the police and said, "This is my mom."
Yeah.
And the police didn't take it serious. So why then now a person don't they? And this boy has been saying something. I read the post from his girlfriend. The girlfriend said he was even trying to make sure they go on a vacation. He was trying to make sure that he don't want to go. Him himself, Mohbad, don't want to go. So he wants the wife and the son to go. So the wife is like, or the girlfriend is like, you should follow
his girlfriend, yeah.
Yes, his girlfriend.
And then the more good.
Yeah, because, yes, and the more good.
Yeah.
So, but the whole matter is instincts. People are just taking what they didn't take early before now. So, why are you then taking it serious? Why are everybody now? Because the same person did a live video. This thing is not the first of its kind in the entertainment world.
So what's the suspicion all about? He was not shot. Was he poisoned? Would he have been poisoned?
Yeah, the controversies raised by Naira Marley this as of yesterday was, and they should investigate where he was, who was with him, and that's who last saw him and all of that. But I think all those things...
Maybe that's why they want to exhume his body to see whether he was poisoned, since he wasn't shot. Yeah. And if he was poisoned, I think, would they be able to trace it? Because the autopsy will show. And his girlfriend has not said anything?
Oh, the girlfriend, as of now, she doesn't have much to say. But because she has that responsibility, now she don't know. It's very hard for her to choose now. If she will remain as single mother, she will have to marry.
Okay, now let's trail off. I have just 2 minutes. Why did you become a comedian? Because I want you to be coming on. You have to be coming on this program, won't you? So why did you choose to become a comedian?
Okay.
So there are children will be saying you do mumu things.
Okay. First of all, my story of how I became a comedian, in a way, is not balanced. But for the fact that I'm a comedian today makes it balanced. Because back then, growing up, I'm not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back then.
Must it be funny to be a comedian?
Yeah. It's be funny.
Okay. Is it not creativity?
Yes. Yeah. That creativity must be funny.
Okay.
You understand? If your creativity is not funny, then your creativity should have an insight. That means you should go to poet or go into music.
There's something about comedy. If I go, since people see me as a very serious-minded person, if I go out to do comedy, they don't take me seriously. Is that what I mean by being funny? And yet I could drop a serious joke, a fine joke that could make people laugh.
Yeah.
And because it's coming from me, serious-minded born.
Yes.
Being funny, and it's not funny. They say it's not funny.
Yeah, they say it's not funny because of that touch. That is where your touch comes.
So your personality can affect your joke.
Your personality can actually affect your joke.
But a passenger's personality doesn't affect his joke.
A passenger's personality.
But they know he's a funny man.
He's always a funny man. Even from a passenger, we funny past comedians.
Yes.
A passenger is a grandfather in comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back then I never believed or imagined that I would become a comedian. I side of the story I share is I see people coming, and there's this instinct in me that told me that I can do this.
Well, thank you very much. That's the much we can take on today's Atlantic Television Saturday. And our last guest here has been the Son of Man. The Son of Man will be here some other day.
Not the Son of Man, Son of Man.
Son of Man.
No, yeah, you got to remove that day.
The definite article is not necessary. Son of Man. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you for being out there for us. And make sure you join us always on our various social media platforms. They are there. But remember, peace is the pathway to progress. And you must do the right thing at all the time. Build the building block of peace always. Right. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name.